Living in America as a black person, you recognize there is one set of laws for you and one set of laws for those, especially in the white community. In our book, Passive Aggressive Racism in the System of White Supremacy, I take you through times in my life when I first started noticing white supremacy. We teach you how to recognize it, identify it, and also counter it in our book. This book is a beginner's course for those that are just starting to wake up and open their eyes to see the system of white supremacy. As a black American person, you must understand this system because this system is life or death to you. How you handle it, how you deal with it, it can affect your mental health if you don't understand this system. Pick up our book, Passive Aggressive Racism and the System of White Supremacy, today on Amazon. Well, there was a former South African soldier that served, in the South African military, and I want you to hear exactly what created the inter-ethnic, violence or black on black crime in South Africa at the time period. And I want to have this conversation because do you really think this has stopped and what they're even doing here in the United States of America? Let's roll that.
Hey, I was a conscript in the South African Army in 1988 and 89. Used to have to do 2 years. 1989 was the last year of having to do 2 years of compulsory military service as Nelson Mandela was led out of jail and we moved towards the first free and fair elections in South Africa. But I was based up in northern Zululand near a town called Matubatuba in 121 Battalion, which was a Zulu battalion with a small cadre of white officers, but all the troops and a lot of the non-commissioned officers were Zulus. And one of the things that was going on in my area, because I was the law officer covering a very large area of northern Zululand up to the Swaziland-Mozambique border, was a small group of recce officers. That was like our equivalent of the SAS, Navy SEALs type soldiers, training local Zulu men to go up to the townships and the mine hostels around Johannesburg and in the Transvaal to deliberately foment racial tension and violence with other tribes based in those hostels and townships. And this was a very deliberate strategy of the South African government and the South African military at the time to create black on black violence, to detract from the potential for black on white violence, which in those days was very low because we had a very strong and violent police force repressing that side of things. But there was this massive deflection that went on right up until I left the army at the end of 1989. And a lot of white people don't know that, is that there was a very deliberate strategy, because what white people in South Africa at the time, and no doubt for some period afterwards, were often saying is, these blacks can't run a country because they're always fighting each other. These tribes hate each other, right? The Zulus hate the Xhosas, who hate the Ndebele, who hate this guys, the Pondos, and this kept saying that basically that blacks were too violent to run a country. And what most people have no idea of is that violence, that intertribal violence, was fomented by the white South African government, army and police force very deliberately. So we need to revise our idea of history, not just the recent history, the pre-apartheid history of South Africa, but the entire history of European and white domination of Africa and the way that that was presented to us through our education curriculum, the things we believe about the history of Africa and colonialism are not what actually happened and are certainly not how Africans experienced that. Let's bear that in mind, people.
So as you heard what this man said, he said that they were the ones that was creating the beefs between different ethnic groups in South Africa. This didn't happen on their own. This was done by the white supremacists. The white supremacists, his mantra has always been divide and conquer. See, they feared that black folks would get at them. And being in South Africa, they are the minority. So if black people get pissed off and go at them, what really could they do about it? So yes, they wanted to go and try to keep internal beefs and having different ethnic groups fighting each other in South Africa. Now, that's not just in South Africa. We know good and well right here in the United States of America, the same thing has happened. They're always keeping beefs going on between Black Americans. They divide you up and having beef with religion in Black America, with education, the Boule, all the different people. They want to just try to prop up and divide Black people so we can't get together as one group of people and deal with racism, white supremacy. They are behind all the diaspora wars. Yes, they are, because they handpick certain immigrants to come into this country. I know this. And that's conversation that's not being had, is that your parents was handpicked by the U.S. government. Why? Because there's a lot of Africans that go to the embassy in many African countries just to even come here on vacation. And many of them are even denied from coming to America on a vacation. So when they come and go through the process, why do America let them in? And then what's happening is, because they let a lot of people who brought that same old anti-Black, sentiment from their own country, they say, oh, cool, we could bring them in because we'll give them a little bit, since we are the reason why their countries look the way it is. We're the reason why their leaders are so corrupt. We're the reason why they can't benefit from their resources. And they still silly enough to believe that we actually got something good for them. So we'll let them come over, give them a few little trinkets and tell them, don't hang around those Black Americans. You're better than them. And we'll keep, the Black Americans and the Africans and the Caribbeans and everybody against each other. This is what we'll do. We'll keep perpetuating that. I always say, when you look for confusion, when you look for hatred, when you look for calamity, always look deeper, because the white supremacist is behind all of it. We don't just really hate each other for no reason. He's the one behind it. He's been that way from the beginning. When Black folks going to wise up to that? All the diaspora wars I see going on, at least online, not in real life, of course, but at least online that I see, who's really behind that? And even if a Black person is getting involved with it, why are they getting involved with it right now? Why? Prior to this, I got to admit this, prior to 2019, we didn't have all these diaspora wars going on. We didn't. And we could fight for what we need in America without having a diaspora war with somebody. Now, if somebody gets out of line, check them. Check them. And really, it's not really much checking you got to do, because it's really light work to talk about, okay, the certain things some of them say who immigrate here. If they tell me, well, we work harder than you. I'm not trying to work hard. I'm working smart, not hard. That hard work mentality, all it's going to do is get you with a sore back and with nothing. People who work smart are the millionaires and billionaires. So I'm not trying to work hard. If you tell me you get education, we've been doing that ever since education could be received. We've been doing that prior to even coming over here. Come on now, that's not really impressive, getting a white man's degree. That's not impressive to me. When I hear statements about, oh, well, we have better family upbringing, well, is that translated to where you come from? Don't come here talking down on Black America. Don't do that. I would never go to no country and talk down on the people, especially if they're the ones that helped me to get over there. So if I'm trying to go to South Africa and other South Africans are helping me to get my citizenship and everything, then I'm going to come in there after I get my citizenship. Now I'm start talking down on South Africans. What kind of crap is that? You should be appreciative for people helping you, like Black America has helped all people, not just, Black people in the diaspora, but all people. But the people they're allowing to come in here, they're handpicking them. They're not letting the revolutionaries from Africa nations to come in here. They're not letting the revolutionaries from Caribbean nations to come in here. No, they want Candace Owens to come in here. That's who they want. They want Candace Owens. And we can get more and more Candace Owens in here. That's what they want to immigrate. And then when they have their kids, they producing little raccoons, and then that continues the cycle. And then now you got a little raccoon with American citizenship now. But it all goes back to the white supremacists. Don't fall for the okie doke, black folk. Don't fall for the little diaspora wars that's caused by the white supremacists, because he's creating diaspora wars because he do not want black people to work together. He don't want black people. Listen, the one thing I'm going to tell y'all this. The white supremacists in America, the ones who's really controlling things, not the little poor broke ones, they love to hear y'all say, you're not going to go anywhere, you're not going to do anything. They love that because they know as long as you insulated in the system, they got your money, they got your life. They got it because they control everything. They own everything. And as black Americans, we don't own or control anything. You spend over $1 trillion in this country, and that money goes nowhere. It doesn't even benefit our own community. But when you have that mindset, I'm having 2 addresses, because I thought, I had to do some praying about my messaging. And, Lord showed me where to go with this, because, the way I'm going with some of you, it came to me, it's too much for you sometimes. So I'm gonna have to go another route, but still do the same thing. So just have 2 addresses. What I mean by 2 addresses: have you an address in America? Have it. Have you a home? Have you whatever? And have you an address abroad? I think that is a great compromise, right? Because a lot of you just can't fathom certain things yet. But I think you could fathom 2 addresses. So can you set up something here in whatever state you would like? And can you set something up somewhere else? At least you have the option at that point. If you want to stay here and rock it out with these people, do that. If you don't want to rock it out with these people no more, you're tired of it, you say, look, I've done everything I've done. It's time for somebody else to take my place. I need to go it on and chill my nerves now. You can do that. You have another address in an African nation, in a Caribbean nation. You want to do it in Latin America, you can do that too. But I'm a big proponent of, hey, if I'm going to have a second address, it's going to have to be in Africa, an African nation. Let me not say Africa, because we also got to get out of saying Africa as well, because there's 54 nations. So I think we can do that. We can have a second address. Because these billionaires in America, they have 5 and 6 addresses outside the country. 8, some of them, outside the country. And when things get bad for some reason, those millionaires and billionaires can go to those other addresses. And I want you to have that. See, one thing black immigrants have a second address. So if something goes a certain way, those black immigrants say, oh, I'm going to grandma, I'm going to my cousin, I'm going somewhere else because I have a second address. Let me tell y'all something. You can do 2 things at once. You can have a second address. You could build in another nation. And when you here, you could speak up and you could fight for what you want to fight for here in America. Who said that you can't do 2 things? It's not either or. You can do both. You can do 10 things at once if that's what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't want black people to be so invested and stuck here that they don't have a second address that they can say, listen, I can get away from here. Even if you just want to get away from here for a few weeks. You may want to go do a 90-day visa somewhere, right? Hey, I'm going to stay for 3 months. And if you want to come back to Babylon, you have every right to. You have every right. If that's what you choose to do. But seek a second address. I said from the beginning that I will go back and forth, that I will have my second address. And because of what I do here, I got family here, right? Family and friends. Of course, I'm going to see them. I'm still an American citizen, so there's certain things I need to do here, business-wise, etc. So it's going to be back and forth. Look at Steve Harvey. That's what he do. Steve Harvey goes back and forth. Steve Harvey have his real beautiful home in South Africa, and he has his home here in the United States too. And he goes back and forth to do what he has to do. Now, from what I'm hearing, he spends more time in South Africa now. He comes here to do his business though, but then he goes back and do what he got to do. It's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong. And when we are talking about this and people having this conversation, right? It's not on Pan-Africanism, because y'all stuck on Pan-Africanism. All the black expats that I know, they're not talking about Pan-Africanism. They're talking about, hey, I just want something different. That's all. Because the one thing that the white man fears is black unity globally. He fears that. He knows that if black people globally join together and work together and let's point out the real enemy of the black man and woman throughout the world, which is the white supremacists. Oh, he in trouble. So he got to keep the diaspora wars going. He got to keep the ethnic, wars going in the different African continents. He got to keep that going because he don't want he want them to watch all the resources they stealing out of there. They don't want you to get, and us to get our act together. But let's call it what it is. Black Americans, black immigrants, we live in the same country. And I keep saying that nobody is better than nobody, period. We all black at the end of the day. All of us are, at least in this country. Now, y'all, the other country, you want to call yourself whatever you want to call yourself, fine. But here, you're an N-word here, period. Matter of fact, you're an exotic N-word because you speak different language. And on top of that, you're more of a threat than we are because you speak a different language. Because the white supremacists are highly threatened by anybody that speaks a language outside of his own. So, of course, they want, more of the sellouts and raccoons from the Caribbean and from the African continent come here. Of course, they want to see that divestment wigs and all of that and saying, oh, black men are the worst and black women are the worst and, all the Christian Obasellis and all them. And then when we try to tell Christian about Becky and then she stabs him up and then she don't go to jail, say, that's what we try to tell you behind, but you learn the hard way. Black immigrants, you don't have to learn the hard way about these folks. Listen to Black America. We've been around these people a long time. You don't need to suffer some things you're suffering with them. You don't have to. These people have lied to you and they're not who they say they are. But this is a man that was in the South African military and saying how they kept division going, and they still doing that to this day in America and throughout the world. They never, listen, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the black unity is like an atomic bomb. And they fear that. They fear me and you working together, like coming together and educating our people. They fear me and you coming together and growing our own food. They fear all of us coming together and building communities for our people, right? They fear that. This is why they always want to send everybody into our mix. When we getting together and working together, they always trying to send white folks in our mix. So they go like, I just want to be a part of it. Why? Why you always want to be a part of what we got going on? Go over there and be a part of what you got going on. Let black folk have a time away from you where we can actually work on ourselves. Because they want us crippled in our mind and think that we can't do nothing or get nothing done without them. Now, if a person's nice, they want to give something great. But we need to strategize on our own without nobody else in the mix. They fear that. They fear that because they know with just a little unity, what we have produced even in this country underneath the great white supremacist terrorism. They know what we have produced. They know what we are capable of. They're more angry at us for surviving everything they've been thrown at us. That's what they're more angry at us about. Other groups have been wiped out, but we have survived. This is why I'm not for fighting with my brothers and sisters that come from, the different countries throughout the world. Because I know the white supremacists benefit when we beefing. Because while we beefing, the white supremacist is taking the spoils. They're stealing from us. They're robbing us blind because we're so focused on our own brothers or sisters. Now, if somebody don't want to be a brother or sister, fine. Identify them, call them out, and let's excommunicate them. Let's do that. But I'm not going to focus my attention on raccoons from nowhere. Whether raccoon is in Black America, whether it's from the Caribbean, whether it's from the African continent, whether it's from Latin America, I'm not focusing on them and spending all my freaking time on the raccoon. I'm not going to do it. We're not going to. We got more things that we could be doing and focusing on as a diaspora of people. And even in Black America, if you do not want to unify with the brothers and sisters that's actually, want to work with you, then you're the problem too. I would tell none of us to unify with some raccoon. No, hell no. Hell no. If we come into an agreement about unification, we can enact consequences for off-code behavior too. No matter where Black folks come from, you better be on the code that we own, or we got to enact a consequence at that point. But we can only enact consequences like white supremacy do is when we unify. See, the code of white supremacy is you may not agree with white supremacy, but you better not speak against it. And if you do, it's hell to pay. And they give that white person hell. And we should be the same way. You may not agree with everything that we talk about as Black folks here, but you better be on code with it or keep your mouth shut, or it's going to be consequences. You speak against a Black America, okay, we boycotting your business. We're not going to shop with you. We're not going to protect you when the race soldiers come after you. You are done. We won't even advocate for you to get on out of here. Just like that. But we got to come together, folks. We got to come together. We have to come together. That's what I'm on. If you rock with us, I rock with you. That's me. I want to see unification in the diaspora. That's what I want to see. Now, when it comes to African governments, we can deal with that, but it has to come through the grassroots. The grassroots here in America, the grassroots on the continent, the grassroots in the Caribbean. The grassroots changes governments. The governments are not going to do anything because they sold out to white supremacy too. When many of you ask, well, why don't they speak up more and why don't they offer citizenship? They are sold out to white supremacy. Do you really think the white supremacists want to lose you, Black America? Do you really think? You need to think about that for a minute. How could they have a system of white supremacy and you're not here? If y'all even if 50% of Black America decided to, hey, have a second address and be over there 80% of the time, that's a lot of money they would lose. They can't afford to lose you. So hell yeah, they were behind the scenes block and try to fight and even threaten to sanction the African country for trying to open up the door for Black America to come in easily. Y'all really don't know these people. Just like during the Great Migration, when Black Americans were leaving the South, the white supremacists in the South started blocking the Chicago Defender from coming down to the South and letting Black folks know about the jobs and how they were being treated up there and how they had more opportunities. When Black folks were sending train tickets back to the South to send their people up to, places like Chicago and other places in the North, the white supremacists, through their police, was stopping the trains and just getting Black people off of there. Not because they was committing any crimes, because they wanted to hold Black folk in the South. So if that's the way they acted back then, because they couldn't afford to lose Black folk during the time of the Great Migration, do you really think that they wouldn't do the same thing if at least 50% of us decided to say we'll have a second address and we'll be over there 80% of the time? Do you really think that they wouldn't try to stop that? You really think they would make it extremely difficult for you to get a passport at that point? Black America contributes a lot to the American economy. Don't you dare think that we aren't important to their overall bottom line. No matter how they treat us, we are still important to the bottom line of America. Other groups of people don't generate the money we generate. Black folks get out the pain. There's no NBA. There's no NFL no more. Entertainment's going to go down the toilet. Music will go down the toilet. TV going to go down the toilet. That's just a few things. The workforce will be hurt if Black folks not here to work. If you don't have Black folks making money off of Black folks, and white supremacy not having that permanent underclass they selected as Black America, well, what is white supremacy then? What other group are they going to choose to take your place? I would love for them to have to choose another group. I would love it because I would love to see how they deal with it. But I know how they're going to deal with it. They're going to get on planes and get out of here. They're not going to put up with it, not even a day. Look at the Asian community. They couldn't put up with it for a few months. And you saw how they were falling apart. We've been dealing with that mess for hundreds of years. Not even a year. They sitting up there like about to lose it about how they were being treated by the white supremacists. But they'll sit up there and highlight the mentally ill Black dude that do something to them, but they don't point out the 30 white supremacists that was calling them names and beating on them and doing things like that and telling them to go back to their country, etc. So we need to learn, folks, let's come together. Let's come together. And if you're not on coming together with good people that want to come together, then you're part of the problem, no matter where you come from. If you're Black American, if you're immigrant, no matter where you come from, we need to come together as Black people. Because these white supremacists love to see us fighting each other. But y'all let me know what y'all think about, this white man here. He's just telling the truth of what they did. Brothers and sisters in South Africa, same thing. Stop fighting each other. The white supremacists is happy with that. Y'all fighting other Black folks, and I understand people coming to the country illegally. I get it, and they should come into the country the right way. Trust me, I'm from America. I know exactly how you feel. But you spend more energy fighting other people that look like you instead of dealing with those white supremacists that still lingering there and plotting and planning on you to try to put you back in apartheid. That's the energy that y'all need to take and deal with them. After you deal with them white supremacists once and for all, then we can go back and talk about what's going on between each other.
Colonization never ended in the white supremacist system. And as we see today, the colonization is in the mind. Now, those who have been enslaved and those who have been colonized, we're still dealing with the remnants of that through the colonization of the mind. Pick up my book, 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind, and we will help deprogram you from the colonization that was put upon you by generations and generations of white supremacy. You can pick it up today on Amazon.com.